And I'm sure there's been a lot of fantastic information gleaned from these three great minds that are here today. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate having you here, and we know how lucky we are to have the best of the best here for our Dance Explo. We're now going to move straight into the forum. All of our lecturers have their questions, I think. I think everybody's comfortable where we are, aren't we? Yes. We don't need to move now. So, Peter's first.
Hi everybody, I'm back. I only got a few questions. The first of which, what direction do you think Nouveau is taking and the evolution? I think I covered that perhaps in my second session. I believe that it's become more of a relationship-based style of dance rather than being totally expressive and out there. And the terminology that I use in my teaching is dancing for the second row of the balcony. More importantly now, sharing with your partner and valuing what you both bring to the partnership and what you can express to the music. Does that answer that question? Great, thank you. And you know what, the next one, I'm interpreting it in a different way because I always look at things differently to everybody else. What would you like to see more of? And I'm not going to relate that to Nouveau, I'm going to relate it to the entire industry. And what I would like to see is people say hello and people smile. Because we hear all the time of fledgling numbers, this is wrong, that's wrong. The most important thing about dancing is enjoyment, sharing. And you know what, I did an exercise at the Australian Championships a couple of years ago where I'm a bit of a chain smoker, aren't I, Derek? And I used to walk through the marshalling area, and what I decided to do about 4 years ago was every time I walked through the marshalling area to have a cigarette, I'd say hello to every competitor who I caught their eye. 4 years down the track, when I walk out now for a cigarette, I have kids jumping out in front of me saying hello. We become so engrossed and so devoted to our own dancing, but you know what? It's not our dancing that's going to make this industry flourish. It's sharing that experience with everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Some very wise words. And I think we'll go to ladies now. Pamela, would you like to answer your questions?
Lovely. I've got one here that I've chosen. Can you please show how you can create a stylish look with the legs in a delayed walk, pressed forward walk? Now there are 2 delayed walks for lady and 1 for man. So if I'm dancing a sliding doors, this is the first position I would have. So a delayed forward walk is onto a bent leg. This is the first one I'm talking about. And we create the opposite arm to the standing leg. Bearing in mind my partner would be behind me. So from rumba 2, 3, 4. This is how we create. We also do it from an opening out in close hold. So I'm standing like that, and then I'll put my weight on the foot and swivel. The other delayed walk I briefly said this morning was a delayed walk in an Alemana turn, and that is with a straight leg. And the stylish look would not to turn the body, but to keep the left side open, looking forward at the man, and then turning afterwards. So a press line, or Spanish line, sometimes I call it, is a delayed forward walk on a bent leg or a straight leg. And the other one is for the man on a back step, after he might dance an opening out or into sliding doors. The ball of the left foot is on the floor, and on one, he will replace that foot. He'll put his heel down, so a sliding door variation would be 4-1 into sliding door. And another one is quite complicated, really, how to develop your style and look of your dancing without copying others. That takes a lot of practice. That takes, first of all, technique is very important, and then practice in front of the mirror. I spent hours as a dancer practicing how I would do this, how I would do that with my arms. But arms, of course, are an extension of your body, your back muscles. I talked about back muscle and using the back. So the back is an extension, not just the shoulder blade, everybody. It starts from here, these muscles in the back. So that would be how I would extend. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. And now, if we can have Anthony back again. That's short rest, Anthony.
Yeah, fine. Right, as I said earlier, there were some very interesting questions, but I can't answer them all. I wish I could, actually. I'm going to take this one. Can you please explain the difference between expansion and extension? Yes, I can. Right. You got that, didn't you? Right. Yeah, very quick down that end. The wind must be in that direction. Now, I said two words this morning, I said, which are the most dangerous words in dancing, and that is stand up. When we stand up, we will always elevate the rib cage and the elbows will go back and get wider. If you expand, now one of my old coaches once said to me, he said, all girls that wanted to be ballroom dancers should have been filleted at birth. Right? So we don't want ribs, girls. Right? Now, that's what I hate. Artificial posture is expansion when they come up here. There. Right? Everything's gone up. Right? So that's expansion. Extension is every type of dancer should have extension. Ballet dancers have beautiful extension, and they have a connection to their inner, what we call the inner core. It's something that you have to imagine it's your personal center of balance, right? You don't want it to wander around. So when I'm moving through, right, the creation from my supporting leg, what we call CBM, that center starts to turn with me, but it's always long, especially when I lower. My saying used to be, the lower we go, the longer we feel, the longer we feel, right? So as I'm going down, I keep that long, right? And that is it. You've got to imagine that inner center. It's like a spiral action. Now, when a girl is arched in her back like this, she has none of that. You cannot turn a girl that's in that position. And that one is one of the things I meant to talk about earlier. But one of the things that the boys are lacking in Foxtrot today is body turn, CBM. They can't because the girls are dictating. They're all out here. All right, their weight's going in one direction, the poor bug is trying to go diagonally centre and he can't. Okay, so that's really simple terms of expansion. Don't have expansion, extension. Right, thank you.
Did you have another one, Anthony, or only one? No, they did too. We want our money's worth, Anthony.
Now, just, we got to finish up with a laugh, haven't we? So, one says, can you please expand on flight in quick step? You know what Peter Smith's just written on my paper? Check it out with Qantas. The other one I was going to take was, over the page. What do our top Australian couples, amateur final in particular, in brackets, lack in their approach to ballroom dancing today? Why are we so far behind? Well, you haven't got much confidence in yourself, have you? I don't think you're far behind. Shall I tell you honestly, having now lived 14 very, very happy years in Australia, I'll tell you what the problem is. Your geographical location. And for that reason, ladies and gentlemen, for that reason, I only do a limited amount of teaching, when I'm at home on the Gold Coast. I still have, fortunate enough to have some old people still come from overseas, but I tell all the Aussie couples, you don't get enough competitions to perfect what you do on the floor. So, a lot of the couples now, because it's just cheap to fly to Singapore or to Hong Kong as it is to fly from the Gold Coast to Perth. Cheaper, in fact. So a lot of them now are enjoying competing in Asia. And they're dancing against new people, you know, and some of them are the top couples in the world, right? So it's lifting their performance, and I can tell you that the couples that I'm taking, they have been rejuvenated in their approach. So I don't think, you see, look, you can't say you're not talented or that. Look at the dancers that Australia have produced over the years. Champions, world champions. Right? And you know, I tell you, that there was one time in the 80s, early 80s, where there were more Aussies in Europe than Australia, right? But, and I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is something as well that you can come to work. You're very lucky you get to that. You live in an instant world. You can have anything, right? You can get iPhones, you can get iPads, you can do what you like. I can tell you, these amateurs that came over in the late 70s and the 80s, one of them, one couple, I shan't mention them, they lived in a mini miner. They lived in a mini miner. Another couple I know lived for half a week on a tin of baked beans. How did you struggle when you came to England for the first time?
It was either a meal or a lesson.
There you go. It was either a meal or a lesson, so they went hungry.
I should go back again and then I'll lose all my bag.
But, ladies and gentlemen, that is the dedication that put Australia where they were on the map. The dedication to what they were doing. So don't think you haven't got talent. Australia has talent. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Just before we move to finish up, a very important thing is that when this all finishes, the bar is open, and if you would like to enjoy a alcoholic drink or a non-alcoholic drink, and maybe just a little bit of companionship with some of these fabulous dancers and your friends, you're welcome to stay back and do that. But right now I'd like to hand over to the chairman of Dance Sport Western Australia, Mr. Derek Gatlin.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Eric. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Dance Sport WA Board, I will speak very quickly and shortly. A good word. Thank you very much for your attendance today. This and that is what makes it all worthwhile. We've heard some wonderful lectures from people who teach and judge the best in the world here in Perth. I think that's wonderful. You've come along, you've given great support. How about a hand for the lecturers once again? Peter, Anthony, and Heather. These sort of events don't just happen, and today we've been served so very well by an organising committee, and I'd like each of them to stand up because they really do deserve your applause. Firstly, I think, Richard, you led the way, so Richard Morrissey, thank you. It probably should have been ladies first, but they're all in it together. Linda Brown, thank you, Linda. And of course your erstwhile compere, always so magnificently dressed, Mr. Barry White! Ladies and gentlemen, as we close, a word came up in just that last lecture and the last speech from Barry. It's all about enjoying your dancing. We wish you all the best for 2015. We hope you enjoy your dancing. Thank you. Like your feedback forms fed back. Would you mind, please? Any one of us will collect them from you. Please fill them in. Your comments are appreciated and we do take notice of them. Thank you.